Everyone, Jeremy here from The Quartering. We've got a good bit of Star Wars news, including what appears to be Star Wars The High Republic team being furious with Jon Favreau and The Mandalorian and Luke Skywalker. We also have some of the writers of that program going off the deep end with deeply dividing rhetoric and using the classic "don't like it, don't buy it" in regards to their terrible, hilariously bad sales. Now, first and foremost, Star Wars The High Republic, it's being reported that the team is furious with Jon Favreau. A new rumor claims that the Lucasfilm Story Group was involved in a newly launched Star Wars The High Republic's publishing initiative, are unhappy with Jon Favreau, The Mandalorian, and Luke Skywalker. The new rumor comes after publishing initiative featured fundamental mistakes about Star Wars in the very first issue of the High Republic comic book series. The first issue saw a Jedi stop their fall using a lightsaber wedge into a spire. The lightsaber would continue cutting through the spire as if it's not made of material like the Mandalorian Beskar steel that can resist a lightsaber. Making the mistake even more glaring is a couple of pages before, they do indeed show a lightsaber splitting an entire tree in half. Not only did the issue feature this significant error involving a lightsaber, but also features a one-armed Trandoshan, despite Trandoshans having the ability to regenerate limbs. Well, that's some deep lore, but I suppose if I was getting paid to write the book, I would know that. In the canon Star Wars Scum and Villainy book, Imperial Security Bureau agent Andressa Devo explains that they are a hardy lot. The preserved jar holds a torn arm of a Trandoshan male ripped off cleanly by an enraged Wookiee. Analysis with the shred skin samples from Bosk's domicile confirmed a match. He's since regenerated that arm. Looks like the old lizard can take more than a punch and return to the fight. This, a new rumor from WW Pro at Pirates and Princesses, claims that the Lucasfilm Story Group believes the reveal of Luke Skywalker in the finale of The Mandalorian's second season took all the oxygen out of the High Republic. Apparently, they are actually furious that they were not told that Luke Skywalker would show up in The Mandalorian. WDW explains, worse, I'm told they're furious because they weren't informed about Luke Skywalker at the beginning season send-off surprise. The scooper goes on to claim that the fury is why individuals like Pablo Hidalgo decided to go after the fan base following Luke's reveal. He then makes the bold statement that Lucasfilm Story Group feels like Luke Skywalker reveal was a betrayal of Kathleen Kennedy because they and the Kennedys are not getting credit for anything. WDW Pro then believes that Hidalgo and other Lucasfilm employees, fans going after fans emotionally reacting to Luke Skywalker's return, created a full-blown public display of the two visions at Lucasfilm. The scooper previously detailed that the civil war brewing inside Lucasfilm over the control of Star Wars, he claimed that the battle was raging between Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau factions. Well, it's clear which one the fans prefer. With the Kennedy faction involved in Star Wars Resistance, Star Wars Force of Destiny, and the Galaxy Adventures, Solo, and the sequel trilogy, Favreau's faction at the time appeared to be only working on The Mandalorian, which is better than all of them. But given the announcements at the Disney Investor Day 2020 presentation, it's expanded to Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic, and the Book of Boba Fett. The public display of this alleged battle from people like Hidalgo has sparked meetings and discussions about how to manage public relations situation. The High Republic reportedly wanted Filoni and Favreau to speak in a complimentary fashion about the High Republic. However, it appears Disney execs are behind Favreau's vision as they have put money behind The Mandalorian and its many spin-off shows. Quote, my sources say that Bob Iger's fully behind Jon Favreau, although Bob Iger's not really on the scene anymore, or he's on the way out the door anyway. He concludes the scoop by saying, keeping Luke Skywalker a secret from almost everyone at Lucasfilm has sent the message loud and clear. Favreau is in charge of The Mandalorian and every spin-off series that comes from it. And Favreau is in charge of the only Star Wars fans seem to care about. There is no consultations with Lucasfilm needed in the future. He and Filoni are in the driver's seat, he added. Now, while the proclaims that Favreau and Filoni are in the driver's seat when it comes to Mandalorian. Kathleen Kennedy is still president at Lucasfilm. And an excerpt from The Art of Star Wars, The Mandalorian Series 1, shared to social media Twitter user Stephen Waynard, makes it clear that Kennedy was the one who put Favreau and Filoni together to create The Mandalorian. So she'll get credit for that. It reads, on September 25th, Jon Favreau replied to Kennedy's email gauging his interest in the live-action TV series, expressing interest in The Mandalorians, a subject Filoni also wished to explore further. Favreau and Filoni shared a mutual history in Mandalorians from their time in the Clone Wars and were reunited by Kennedy to collaborate on the subject on November 14th, meeting at the Kennedy Marshall Company, culminating in the creation of pitch art that same month. It continues. Essentially, Kathleen Kennedy seems to have accidentally hired her replacements. And this on top of Justina Ireland telling Star Wars not to purchase the High Republic. Now, this is, of course, Gita Jackson, of course, social justice warrior, pretend video game journalist. Now, it's first being reported by Star Wars as dumb. Ireland is telling Star Wars fans not to purchase the High Republic. Instead, Ireland responded to a tweet from motherboard writer Gita Jackson, formerly Kotaku. Jackson wrote, "Content creators, it used to be common folk wisdom not to share your political beliefs for fear of losing fans. How has the last 4 years changed that? Are you still afraid of losing fans?" In a follow-up, she wrote, "Relatedly, if you're okay with calling your audience of a-holes," meaning anyone who doesn't... Look, I can't tell why I'm losing subscribers. By the way, if you're watching this and you aren't subscribed, or if you thought you were, please make sure there's a red subscribe button down below. Make sure you click that. Make sure you're still subscribed. I don't know what's going on, if YouTube's purging users or what it is, but every time I upload, it's like another 200 or 300 disappear. I'm not sure what. I don't think it's anything controversial or, because these are the opinions I've had forever. So anyway, in a follow-up, relatedly, are you okay with calling your audience of people I don't agree with, so I'm going to call them names? Do you have a secondary revenue stream, Patreon, or is it just ad revenue? Ireland responding, stating, quote, "The problem is, if you don't like my politics and my beliefs and my moral compass, you aren't going to like my books. So let's just go ahead and save everyone some time." See, that's just not right. That's not correct. I mean, I love, and adore a lot of the work that Stephen King's done over the years, but he's a wackadoodle. Many of the actors in Hollywood, I think their personal political beliefs are wildly dangerous, but I can separate the art from the artist. She added in a subsequent tweet, quote, "Plus, there's like an Amazon warehouse or Starbucks on every corner now. I've had worse jobs. YOLO." That doesn't sound salty at all. Essentially saying like, well, I've got this awesome job writing for Star Wars, but it's basically the same thing as working at Starbucks. Ireland's comments may sound familiar. It's the same advice then EA Chief Creative Officer Patrick Soderlund gave fans of Battlefield when promoting Battlefield 5. Soderlund stated, "On the women in Battlefield is something that the development team pushed. Battlefield 5 is a lot about the unseen, blah, blah, blah." He went on to say, basically don't like it, don't buy it, is what he went on to say. Our readers know EA would eventually admit that Battlefield 5 tanked and that the company missed its earnings goal because of it. Now, of course, we know. This is the same person, by the way. This is the same author from the High Republic. Recently bashed white men leading up to the launch of the first wave of the High Republic stories. Justina Ireland, I guess mediocre white men are still going on to be on here bragging about their mediocrity as though it's a hilarious anecdote instead of the pure a-holery. So thanks for establishing that baseline in 2021. In a follow-up, she added, "Imagine writing a 20-tweet thread about outsmarting your 9-year-old. What a waste of perfectly good carbon." Ireland's tweets are in reference to a number of tweets from podcast host John Roderick, where he detailed that he challenged his 9-year-old daughter to open a can of beans with a can opener. Roderick would eventually issue an apology and deactivate his tweet after stating, "My story about my daughter and the can of beans was poorly told. I didn't share how much laughing we were doing, how much of a bowl of pistachios between us all day as we worked on the problem, or that we had had a full breakfast together a few hours before. Her mother was in the room with us all day and alternatively laughing at us, telling us to be quiet while she worked on her laptop. We all took turns on the jigsaw puzzle." I frame the story with me as the a-hole dad because that's my comedic persona and my fans and friends know it's a bit. Then why did you deactivate? Of course, in January 2020, she responded to a Stephen King tweet who wrote, "The most important thing we can do as artists and creatives is make sure people have the same fair shot regardless of their characteristics. Right now, so many people are badly underrepresented, and not only in the arts." To her reply, "And this is why the tweet functionally doesn't work. Creators of color, women of color, and queer creators will never get the opportunities as long as quality is focused on a white, masculine, hetero default, as it constantly is. Except it isn't. I mean, look at Patty Jenkins. Look at the director of Birds of Prey, who that movie tanked and was rewarded with Pirates of the Caribbean. Wonder Woman 2 was divisive and at fair, I mean, I think reasonably, you could say was at average at best, getting rewarded with a third. A lot of these women in the industry, just like the men, continue to be rewarded for mediocrity. There's plenty of women in positions of power, and especially recently. These ideas are ridiculous. I was told I was today years old when I discovered that there was actual White Lives Matter movement, and that was apparently to have promotional materials. The caucasity. I mean, this is white nonsense. Gets up early, but I get up earlier. I mean, imagine just talking about, you know, an entire race of people so dismissively. I just don't understand it. Why people would give this jerk any money, any time. Look, Star Wars clearly has two factions. It's full of ideologues, people like this who write garbage, and then when that garbage doesn't sell, they blame us anyway. I mean, look at this book. Who wants this? Nobody wants this book. And it's garbage, and you're going to just blame everyone else when you're terrible book. Like, hey, I'll just get a job at Starbucks. That's the attitude you have. I don't even care about that. It's not even my whole night. I don't even care about the job that I have. That's just the same thing as Amazon or Starbucks. That's who's writing this Star Wars garbage. It's no wonder it's not selling. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.